Jumping into part 7, Team Magma is hijacking the space center for rocket fuel, resulting in just so many mini boss battles, and they're pulling out all the tricks. From Mons having what I'd like to call the annoying items, to Courtney randomly deciding to switch her Mons to ruin all my careful planning, then having to face 9 Pokemon in a row, without access to any healing in between. But that all pales in comparison to the actual boss battle, where we have to team up with Steven to face Maxie and Tabitha in a double battle. So we control only 1 Pokemon out of the 4, which means it's super hard to account for every situation. So though I'm going to try and play defensively to avoid losing anyone, double targets and/or crits could mean the end. Jumping into the battle, for some reason Steven is called Super Boss ... when sending out his Aerodactyl, while we send in Cupcake, who goes for a crunch on Gengar. Arrow heads up into the air before Cupcake takes an EQ and hits Gengar into the yellow, who T-bolts the flying arrow, obviously missing. I go for the defensive play and just opt to heal Cupcake as Steven takes out Gengar. Salamence comes in to intimidate us, but 2 can play at that game. We get our own intimidate off with Gyarados, who avoids an earthquake while Mence goes for the arrow with Draco Meteor, dealing some decent damage to itself thanks to the recoil. The fact that Aerodactyl's HP is so low is honestly perfect, as the enemies are both gonna see the KO on her and thus we get a free switch. Even better, Arrow flies, meaning neither attacks take her out, so she'll bait them both again next turn. Bagel's Head Smash takes the KO on Salamence. The last Pokemon on the left is Charizard, which a Head Smash absolutely obliterates, as Steven once again does a great job of baiting attacks with his low HP dive Starmie. From here we're mostly out of hot water, considering it's now a 2v1, but with Bagel in the yellow, it's time to get her out of there, sending in Baguette to dodge an EQ and intimidate before bouncing up in the air to finally finish off that Tauros next turn. This also lets Steven's Metagross get in a pretty hard hit with Brick Break on the switched in Flygon. A Body Slam Meteor Mesh combo takes him down, and we're left with Metagross vs Metagross showdown. Oh, and our Gyarados is there, to just waterfall flinch him twice in a row before Steven deals the finishing blow. After nabbing a few more Pokemon, we head to the Seafloor Cavern, which is sort of like Aqua Hideout Part 2, though the only annoying items that end up coming into play this time is Grunt One's Dugong's King's Rock, which doesn't flinch us, though she does get a freeze, so we lose that 90% there. Starmie's King's Rock, which again doesn't flinch. Victory Bell's Quick Claw, of which she does get the 10% chance against Eclair. For Grunt 2, he has his Bright Powder Salamence, which definitely makes me nervous, especially when an Air Slash crits Tim Tam. But thankfully, the Ice Punch doesn't miss, hitting him down to the low red and allowing us to send out Matcha Bite to once again get the 90% hit to fake out KO. There's also a Bright Powder Electabuzz that we do miss against, though to be fair, I was using the notoriously inaccurate Hydro Pump, so whether it was the item or the shaky 85% accuracy, it's impossible to tell. We try again next turn, this time getting in the attack and thus the KO. Grunt 3's Lantern has a Bright Powder, and once again we Hydro miss, but we can just periodically switch Baguette in whenever we need healing. So we pretty much have unlimited attempts, well, limited by PP, but it doesn't end up coming to this, as after 2 Hydro hits, he's down. Then it's Archie time, as he battles us before waving the red orb in Kyogre's face. At least he waited a bit longer before being as idiotic as Maxie. It's a double battle, and straight up I plan a turn 1 sack for the sake of the battle, as the flimsy Bread Rolls gets off an EQ to knock Raikou to the red and deal around a third to 42 and Suicune. 42 then Leaf Blades the Water Beast to the red, before a Weather Ball takes down our Diggy Gal so Pastry can come in and absorb a Hydro Pump. From here, Pastry Surf KOs the legendaries, as we get 42 out of there in favour of Eclair. He sends in Dragonite and Metagross to replace his fallen Mons, so we go for an Icy Wind with Pastry and get Eclair out of there for Apple Crumble. Metagross just protects, but we do get the speed drop on Dragonite. From here, Eclair comes back out as another Icy Wind hits the Dragon to the yellow. This allows us to Drill Run the Metagross, who goes for another Protect, so no damage there, while Eclair finishes off Dragonite. Against Kingdra, I once again want some speed drops from Pastry while keeping Eclair safe. So Apple Crumble does her thing absorbing damage, then Eclair comes back in to take an Octazooka, while Metagross finally attacks Pastry, hitting him down to the red. He's definitely baiting the attacks next turn, so in comes Focaccia to take it as Eclair finishes off Kingdra. I need to use Earthquake to finish the Metagross, but based on the choices Archie made, i.e. which Pokemon he sent out when he had a 50-50 to choose, and whether he attacked or went for Protect, and who he chose to target, I now do need to make a sacrifice, as there's no way I'm risking Eclair's life, one of our best mons, to save Pastry. And honestly, though I of course would rather Pastry have lived, out of every Pokemon we could have lost, I'm fine with it being him. Sorry to sound heartless, but he's not a particularly devastating loss. At this point, all Archie has left is a low HP Quillfish, so all we need is for 42 to come in and quick attack KO for the win. With Kyogre and Groudon released and fighting, both Maxie and Archie finally realise how idiotic they've been. Better late than never, I suppose? Well, not really, as they've already screwed everything up, but whatever. We go and find Wallace in the Cave of Origin, so he can unlock the Spear Pillar for us. Overall, we've had really good luck with encounters, both in what we've gotten and the fact we've caught them. But this abruptly comes to an end with our Route 130 encounter, who head smashes Curry Puff, gets a crit, and straight up murders her in cold blood. Ugh, what a way to lose a Pokemon. We do end up catching him, but whether it was worth it, I'm not sure. What would you prefer, Sharpedo or Relicanth? With another encounter blitz over, we wake up Rayquaza, play the ever-iconic cutscene where this mad lad just flies in and stops the fighting by just kind of floating there and roaring a single time. Great work, Rayquaza. With the world saved, it's time to begin preparing for gym number 8, so see you in the next part.